What is up, everybody? It is CHRIS Akin Presents, and I, of course, am CHRIS Akin. And joining me today from Talking Into Infinity, ready to talk some thrash metal. I can't believe it. It is James Labrie himself. James, how are you?
How's it going? What's this all about?
What's this all about? He is James Labrie. I am James Hatfield, and we are ready to go.
And we're off.
And we're off and running.
Oh, my Lord.
Well, dude, but we'll set this up real quick and then we'll get right into it because we are on a time restraint a little bit today. But
before, I have one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Jon Drake from Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. As long as I'm going to get these numbers mooching off of your viewership, I got to get my name out there.
All right, Brian, here we go.
There we go. Yeah, Brian. All right. So sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. But dude, this conversation that we're going to have today, this and Justice for All versus Rust in Peace. This is almost going to be a replay for you and I, because you and I have done this how many times drunk on the phone at 3 a.m? I would say 10.
Yeah, it's usually for us. It's Megadeth versus Metallica, kind of more of a career spanning thing.
Sure.
But we've never actually sat there and gone, song for song, with just these two records, which is weird because you're right. We have done the Metallica versus Megadeth thing any number of times.
Yeah, no, we have. And it's always at 2 a.m. Usually one or both of us is hammered.
Yep.
So it just sort of made sense that since we're in kind of vacation mode, that we would do some vacation broadcasting and do something fun instead of trying to come up with, some horseshit topic about, did Sammy Hagar really try out for Pantera? Or some stupid horseshit like that. And the truth is, both of us love both of these records. I mean,
yes.
Absolutely love these records. So this should be interesting, and both of us are very opinionated, and I'm sure we're going to argue like crazy for the next hour or so.
Yeah.
But what I thought we would do is right before we start talking, we'll explain what we're going to do, but I have to make one ground rule, and I'm going to fight myself to follow it. You're going to have to fight yourself to follow it. The ground rule is when we go song for song, there are no songs that can be tied. You cannot say this is even. Can't.
Oh, that's fine.
Have to pick one.
I completely agree. I think what's going to get difficult is that when you go song for song, if you could adjust the track listing, I think it would be easier, but we can't do that. So for example, you're going to have I mean, let's be honest. You're going to have Dawn Patrol versus And Justice for All. That's like a very wonky type of a comparison to make. So we're going to have a couple of those in there. So it's going to be definitely going to be really interesting. No ties, like you said. I completely agree with that. Have you actually had an album debate with somebody where they had a tie? Like, oh, it's a tie.
Look, as I was listening to not the album itself, but the songs, where I have had that before, where people have said, yeah, I can't pick, I can't choose this song over that song. So it's a tie, and I don't want any ties.
No.
That can't happen. It
Agreed.
Has to be, we have to make the call, and then somebody has to be mad that's watching.
Piss off the viewers.
Which, dude, just from looking at fucking social media today, because both you and I posted it, seems like everybody's ready to fight over these two records.
Yeah.
It was to me. I'm watching it and I'm going, what the fuck? Everybody's like, oh no, it's Megadeth all the way, or it's Metallica. Not even what was the one quote? Something about not even as close as Secretariat at the Belmont or something.
Yeah, exactly.
People have opinions on these two records, as they should. I mean, look, both of these two records in my head are 1 and 2, 2 and 3, but no further down than that when it comes to thrash metal, really to metal in general, ever. I mean, what's better?
Yeah, it's hard to argue, man. I mean, to me, I always kind of look at these records as basically perfect. I mean, you don't listen to it and you're never reaching for the skip button. You know, there's not a song where you're like, nah. And if you take what you would consider the weakest song off of either of these records and put it onto another album, even let's say, you know, another great album by either Megadeth or Metallica,
Sure.
it would still fit and still be a very good song.
Yeah, probably
So
the best song on the record.
yeah, I mean, it's the material on both of these records is so unbelievably strong, and I mean, they're very, you know, I mean, they're really career defining records. You know, Rust in Peace more so than And Justice for All, I think, because as much as just, you know, we're having this argument because, you know, for me, And Justice for All is my favorite Metallica record. I think it's the best Metallica record. I don't think anybody would disagree that universally, I think that Puppets is the one that people that are looking at. So I think Rust in Peace does have that edge in that it's more of a career defining record for Megadeth. Whereas I think And Justice for All is more of a snapshot in time.
Sure.
But the thing the thing I would say about And Justice for All, though, another where it does differ from Rust in Peace is that I think when you think about the adjectives people generally like to use about each band, those adjectives apply to And Justice for All more than they do Master of Puppets. Whereas with Megadeth, those adjectives would apply, you know, they would apply to, I would say, Peace Sells. Like if you're talking about, you know, speed and aggression and that kind of stuff, like you get more of that type of thing when people think of Megadeth. They think of, you know, the aspects that appear on Peace Sells. Whereas I think when people think of Metallica, without realizing it, they're actually thinking about the aspects that appear on the Justice record.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think you know, just to be clear, for me, it's Puppets. Puppets is the record for Metallica. Right. By a lot over this record. That being said, I love this record.
Yeah.
I think one of the major differences is Metallica Justice was right at the tip top almost of their rise, and then they never came down.
Yeah.
Megadeth, this was kind of the peak moment because it was all downhill from there. I mean, and I've liked a lot of the Megadeth stuff. Don't get me wrong. I do like a lot of the Megadeth stuff, but they never did a record better or even in the same ballpark as Rust in Peace. Not even close.
Well, I mean, saying that, would you say that then the Black Album is on par with And Justice for All? Because I wouldn't. I mean, I have no problems with the Black Album, but so I mean, I mean, I think you're accurate.
Lower, but popularity wise, 30 steps higher.
Oh yeah,
you know, again, and that goes into that. Are you an old fan or a new fan? You know,
yeah.
If you discovered Metallica with Enter Sandman, then the Black Album is it, or anything after Enter Sandman, then the Black Album is it. If you discovered them before then it's Justice, Lightning, Kill 'Em All, or what you call it, Master.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just the way it goes. Metallica's that weird. They are by far the most polarizing band ever. You know,
I'm the perfect example. I could still pretty much out trivia anybody on Metallica trivia from like 81 to 94 when they only had those 5 records out. I owned 45 different Metallica CDs, you know, the import singles, the CD singles, the bootlegs, everything. You know, I had the books, I had the posters, and they put out Load. And ever since then, and especially with the way Lars Ulrich plays drums anymore, like air quotes, plays drums.
Right.
I can't. It's unlistenable to me. Even the records, you know, Death Magnetic was pretty good. I really like Hardwired, but even then, you could tell they didn't do the typical, you know, fixing up of drum parts to tighten it up a little bit, and it takes away something from it for me.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is that they can't play speed metal anymore, or thrash, or whatever you want to call it. They're a rock band now. That's what they are, or a metalized rock band. But they're, you know, I mean, the best tunes even on Hardwired is like Now That We're Dead. That is a mid-tempo rock song. That's not fast. It's good, but it's not fast.
Well, at least you got stuff like Moth into Flame and Spit Out the Bone, and you know, at least you have those. So
Spit Out the Bone is a surprising one because really, I didn't think they were capable of that anymore.
the way he does that line at the end of the second chorus, like "Spit out the bone." The first time I heard it, I was like, holy shit, who unlocked James Hetfield from a closet in 1988? Like, wow.
If you watched the shows this weekend, you saw he's been very much tucked back into that closet because Jesus Christ.
I didn't bother.
Everything was the Metallica family. Hey, Metallica family. Not one curse, I think, through the whole thing. Nothing.
I was listening to the Live in Seattle show today, and I think you maybe got like 3-4 songs in before you get like, make some noise, you fucks. Like now you can't get one of those in an
No.
entire tour.
Yeah, I mean, dude, now just watching that show the other day, the Sunday show, he must have talked about his love for the Metallica family 40 times during the set. And I was like, dude, why don't you find the guy sitting down in the top row and berate him like you used to do? Make
Yeah.
everybody get up and get into it instead of who wants to sing The Memory Remains with us? Woo! Oh, stop it. You know, dude, I'm curious. I was talking to Bartek on the during that show. We were texting back and forth,
Sure.
and he seemed to agree with me. I'm curious what you think about this. Do you think that the reason Het is this way is that he doesn't want to? This is my theory, 100% theory. I have nothing to back this, but I think he doesn't want to be in Metallica anymore. I think he wants to retire and just go and play country shows and just hang out, but he can't because there's so many people involved in the organization now. Metallica, the organization, is hundreds of people long that he would make unemployed. And I really, just watching that show, I did not get the vibe that he was into it at all.
That wouldn't surprise me. I was watching clips a couple weeks ago of that show, I think in Germany, where Lars got sick right before that huge festival and he couldn't play.
Yeah.
And they had like Joey Jordison and Dave Lombardo filling in.
Right.
And you could see Hetfield looking at these guys when they're playing the drums. What the hell? Like, and as a musician, I mean, you know, again, something you and I have talked about ad nauseum, but Lars is not good. And when you have to stand in front of that clanking trash garbage he calls a drum beat every night, I mean, it's well documented that, you know, had Cliff not died, they were going to fire him after the Puppets tour. You know, he was gone. They were tired of him back then. And now he's just awful. And I think Hetfield, I mean, it's probably what you said, and he probably stays because it's a paycheck. They're the biggest band in the world. They make so much money. It's like, why not make hay while the sun shines? But it has to annoy the hell out of him to hear him playing these iconic songs like he's trying to be the guy in AC/DC. It's awful.
But he's doing it too. Let's be honest. He's not bringing the fire either. And I honestly, you know, one of the thoughts that I had was the other thing with him. He's a multi-time loser at rehab. He's in the band that built its whole reputation on Alcoholica and, you know, on booze and being rowdy and being rambunctious. And now he's not. You know, now he's trying to be Papa Het. His guitar has a symbol on it that says Papa H.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he wants to be the big daddy bear instead of, you know, the guy that was throwing beers on people going, now I got you drunk, motherfucker. You better be screaming. You know, he's not that guy anymore.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Well, it's just weird, though. You know, you see him singing Creeping Death or stuff like that, and it's just like, dude, pep it up a little bit. You know, you want Hammett to come over and hit him in the back of the head with the stock of his guitar. Fucking wake him up.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, at least his voice is still in shape. I mean, I'll give him that. Yeah, I mean, because Mustaine, even before the throat cancer, I mean, he sounded really bad.
He sounded like he had throat cancer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you know, and I mean, at least he still got his voice, because a lot of these guys anymore, they just, you know, you go and listen to him croaking like a frog. I mean, how many times we talked about, you know, the Don Dokkens and the Vince Neils and David Lee Roth and stuff like that, but you know, Hetfield still has it. Mustaine does not. I mean, they can't all be Joey Belladonna, who sounds exactly like 1986 Joey Belladonna still.
That's right. I mean, there's some that still can do it. Belladonna's one of them. Glenn Hughes still sounds like he did in 1970.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's a few that can still do it, but most of them have just blown out their voice, and Het's one of those that has not. So,
yep.
You know. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into back when they were a dominant band and when Megadeth was a dominant band. So let's pull this up. Let's get into Metallica versus Megadeth, and we'll go right from the beginning. Blackened, versus Holy Wars, Punishment Due. Jesus, there's an easy choice right from the start.
I know this is actually the genesis of this conversation, because when you and I came up with this like a couple months ago,
Yeah.
that was exactly. I was like, just think if we went song by song, though. We immediately went Blackened versus Holy Wars. Ah, shit. Like,
You can go.
this is pretty much, I would say, almost an impossible choice, because you can't go wrong with either of them, obviously. I personally choose Blackened because it's my favorite Metallica song that they've ever done.
Okay.
I really dig it. I think it's a little meatier than Holy Wars is. I mean, Holy Wars is a great song, but I think, Blackened is just slab of anger and brutality, and the tempo changes and stuff like that. It gets a little progressive and everything. It's one of the best album opening songs I've ever heard on anything, and I just think that this, when I think of Metallica, I think of Blackened.
Sure.
So I mean, this is like a band defining song where I'm concerned. And again, I love the progressiveness of it, because you're coming off of 3 records of just straight thrash metal. It's great stuff. But then they come out with this, that middle part is way different, and then they flip the beat around coming out of that guitar solo, and it's just it totally throws what you know about Metallica on its ear. You're like, whoa, what is this? So I love it. I love it.
All right. I'm going the other way. I'm definitely going Holy Wars. Probably by a lot. I mean,
Wow.
as much as I like Blackened, and I do, I think it's a great tune. I still remember the first time I heard it. I was in the military. I was in Korea. I bought the albums in the PX. It was the double gatefold album. I brought it back to the barracks. I put it on. I'm listening to it, and I was like, what is wrong with my stereo? What did these fucking guys do to I thought people fucked up my stereo, because that sound without the bass was just crap. and I just remember I was so disappointed, because it was such a good song that was just wrecked by the no bass. And I again, I've seen Metallica 45 times, I think it is now. And Blackened is always a highlight. Even now with Lars fucking, croaking it out, it's still a great song when they play it. But it doesn't touch Holy Wars to me. Holy Wars is just so fire. It rips right off the record from second one, and it just doesn't let up.
Yeah.
It's really, it was almost like Mustaine and Ellefson and the new guys at the time, because I believe that was Menza and Friedman's first.
Yep.
It was like they had something to prove for some reason. I don't know why, because the previous stuff was good. Although people, it's weird, because what was before this was So Far So Good, right?
Correct.
So I think that was their Justice for All production wise, because most people love that record but hate the production on that record. So they found it, they brought in Max Norman, or had him do it right. Who, I don't remember who did So Far So Good, but they had Max Norman do Holy Wars, and right from the start you just hear that they are on fire and pissed off and bringing it. So it's not by a lot, and I would love to have the same conversation if we were doing the Injustice for Jason versus Holy versus Rust in Peace, but because of the production and because I personally think the song is a little tiny bit better, I will take Holy Wars.
All right. Like I said, you can't go wrong. I mean, Holy Wars is a complete shred fest, and it too has a cool middle part, kind of like Blackened does. And I just, the one thing I would say to your point is that I completely took production out of this, because I mean, obviously the Justice, bass guitar thing has been done to death. Sure. And I, like you said on social media today, one of my buddies was saying, oh, Justice sucks because, there's no bass, the production, whatever. But to me, while I agree with that point, and the Injustice for Jason thing on YouTube is absolutely killer. So for anybody who hasn't checked that out, definitely check it out. how many records that we love, if we brought production quality into the equation, how many of those records would fall off of our list of top albums because it's just not, it's not good.
I don't know, dude. There's less than great quality production, and there's purposely bad production. Metallica has got two of those records, Saint Anger and this one. These songs were so fucking good that they could have used the Saint Anger production, and we'd still love these songs.
Right.
We wouldn't like them as much, but we'd still love these songs. They're that good. Which makes it the all-time crime that they absolutely did this with the production. If they would have done this record with typical Metallica sound, there would be no contest on what the greatest thrash record of all time is.
You really think it's just the production that holds it back from that title?
I do. I definitely do. I think because when you turn it up in your fucking car and it sounds like your speakers are blown, that made people not listen to it as much.
See, I don't like that there's no bass, but this album sounds angry to me, like angrier than any other record that they've ever done, and it really sounds like an open wound to me. Like, they were pissed off, they were hurting from the Cliff Burton thing, and this record just sounds like that. Like the guitars are grating, and the drums are just like overly crisp, and I kind of like that. I think that the production style adds to the aggression of the material and the lyrics. So I minus no bass guitar, I actually really like the production on this record.
Well, I think it does sound like an open wound to my eardrum. It definitely.
I was waiting for that.
Production's not very good on this one.
Oh man!
All right, let's move forward. Let's get to it. And Justice for All, Hangar 18.
Oh, yeah. This gets into another tough one. I am going to have to go. Oh my God, this is so difficult. I'm going to go Hangar 18 by the slightest hair. Obviously, I love them both, but Hangar 18 gets to the point a little bit more. I think on Justice, there are a couple times where you could trim the teeniest bit of fat off, and I think this is one of them. Like, you could cut a little bit here and there and get a little more to the point. I don't think it needed to be 9.5 minutes long, but it's still an amazing song. And with Hangar 18, it's just quintessential Megadeth. I mean, this is one of the greatest songs they've ever recorded, and it's a banger. I mean, you literally just come in and that riff, it's just chords, and you're just headbanging away to it, dude. I mean, it's a very simple thing to do. It's like it's an ascending chord progression that just goes up and up and up and up, and then you got the standard heavy metal harmony guitars, and then you get that those cool weird rhythms at the end, and
right.
It's great. It's great. I mean, they're so close in my mind because they're two different types of presentations, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I just due to Hangar 18 being a little more concise and to the point, I would take that just by a little bit.
All right. We are absolutely opposites playing today because
wow.
I would take And Justice for All, which is probably my favorite song on the record.
No, see, I thought you would not like this one or To Live Is to Die because you don't like long songs.
It is long, and I don't generally like long songs, but there's something about that. Justice is done. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. That part there is so fucking angry, and seeing that tour, and when they did the whole that song, like in its entirety, and the whole fucking stage blowing up and everything else, was like, if it wasn't a favorite before seeing the tour, it definitely was after seeing the tour, because it was just so vicious and heavy, and again, not by a lot. I mean, I agree with whoever just said this, Marco in the chat room, that Hangar 18 is just a big ass solo. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It really is kind of just Mustaine and Friedman going nuts. But it's again, very, very close. It's one of those that, look, if I couldn't listen to that, but I could listen to the other one, I wouldn't be at all upset. But if I was choosing just one, I would take Justice, just because it to me, it's the first time that Metallica really, really captured the ability to change and go slower and fast in a song together.
Yeah.
You know, that
I would go along with it.
That's what I liked about the most about it. So I'll take that one. So we're 1-1 or 2-2, I guess.
Yeah.
We're 2-2 here, leading into a popular Metallica song, a fan popular Megadeth song, Eye of the Beholder versus Take No Prisoners.
I am going to go with Take No Prisoners.
All right.
Again, I love Eye of the Beholder. And, you know, I really think that one of the things that differentiates Justice from Rust in Peace, I don't think anybody as a musician would ever dispute the fact that these are, you know, quintessential thrash metal guitar records.
Sure.
But I think Metallica did a better job of writing riffs that breathe a little more, which on you know, Justice as opposed to Rust in Peace, which I think is kind of one of the reasons that they were more popular than Megadeth, because their riffs were a little easier to grab onto because there was more space in them. Whereas Dave Mustaine was just speed. There was less to really, you know, grab onto at certain points. And that having been said, you know, Eye of the Beholder is a very straight, easy to digest, and that's awesome. It's got a great groove. It's simple and to the point. I just like how it's like, and that's awesome.
Right.
But Take No Prisoners is just like getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, you know, Eye of the Beholder, you're like banging along with your buddies, but Take No Prisoners is you just getting your ass kicked. You're in the mosh pit and you're not having a good time with your buddy. You're getting destroyed. Like, that song does not let up, and I love that. It's one of my very favorite Megadeth songs for that reason. It's just like it you know, it starts a and the whole song is just 3.5 minutes of just that. So just for the whole speed merchant aspect of it, I'm gonna go with Take No Prisoners.
All right. I too am gonna go with Take No Prisoners.
Okay.
Pretty much the same reason. As you know, you can't make music heavy enough for me. You know, they just don't. They haven't invented such an animal yet that I listen to and go, oh, that's too much. You know, and I mean, I listen to some brutal heavy shit. The Waco Jesuses and anal cunts of the world. You know, I love the heavier the better. Eye of the Beholder to me is not a heavy song. I mean, it's got a heavy crunch to it, but it's slow. It's just slow, and it gets slower in that breakdown. You know, the dun 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 dun. Do you hear what you hear? You know, or whatever he says. I don't know what he says.
Yeah, when it changes up the rhythm.
Yeah. That's it's too slow for me, especially when I'm comparing it to an all-time thrasher like Take No Prisoners.
Yep.
So this one to me was actually fairly easy. I'll take No Prisoners by a good margin on this one. So Take No Prisoners for me as well. So, and that of course leads us to 1 versus 5 Magics. Which this is another one as close as it gets. Jesus.
No. I'm gonna pull what you just did. 1 by a mile, and I love 5 Magics. But 1 is a perfect example for me of a song that actually, like, it tells a story. And I'm not just saying like the lyrics, you know, and all that stuff, but the way the song builds and builds and builds. I love when songs do that, and this song was like one of the first thrash songs to really do that and hit. You know, this is the song that got me into Metallica. Up until this point, I was, you know, I've always been, you know, Van Halen was the first band I discovered, so they're my favorite band. And I was listening to stuff like Scorpions, Motley Crue, obviously, as I said, Van Halen, things like that. And then I saw the one video, and I absolutely shit myself. I was like, what is this?
Right.
And it just, and the song fits the video and vice versa. And hearing the full version, on the album when I ran out and bought it, had my mom take me to the record store to buy it.
Right.
It just absolutely blew me away. This song is just absolutely perfectly crafted, and you just cannot go wrong with that double bass part. The one that everybody knows. That's just unbelievable. And then it ends with with just that just it builds and builds to this incredible crescendo, and it's just a perfectly crafted song. And Five Magics is great. It's really kind of a weird song, which I tend to like the weirder songs, in bands' catalogs. I kind of like when they kind of throw a curveball at you, and this one does that. It's got the goofy stuff, I Master Magic's 5, or if you have the remastered version, it's I Master Magic's 5. Like the remaster on this, what he was doing in some of these vocals, I have no idea. So another reason I can't really bring production into it. But Five Magics is a great song, and I love it. But 1 is basically perfect, so I'm definitely going with 1.
I'm still trying. I had something written down, and now I'm not so sure on it. I mean, I definitely, it's as close as it comes for me. I love Five Magics. I love the way it builds up at the end and just explodes. But I think I got to go with 1, even though that's changing what I thought I was going to say. I mean, I agree with you that slow build into just the fury at the end is probably the most awesome example of that ever.
Yeah.
That said, I think I was leaning toward Five Magics only because I'm sick of 1. Like I hate even seeing it in concert, and because it takes up a long time too. It's in concert they do 5 minutes of shit blowing up before they even play a note, and it's like, all right, play me 2 different songs instead of that one and I'd be fine. But
and then even more shit blows up when Lars tries to play the double bass part and just goes.
He goes.
It's like he's dropping his sticks in the middle of the song.
He's like, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
This is not Back in Black, you fucker.
I know.
Anyway.
But it's hard to argue a song that really redefined a musical movement like 1 did. I mean, 1 changed so much stuff. And I think you have to take that into account. I mean, just what was allowed to be played on MTV. I mean, they never played anything as heavy as 1 until 1 came out. Instead it was all fucking Same Old Situation, Motley Crue and shit like that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden here comes it's like, whoa. So yeah, I'll take the Metallica, I guess.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to go the overplayed route, and I completely agree with you on that, by the way. I just think that 1 is one of those songs, due to its influence and the quality of it, that I think it rises above even the fact that it is overplayed. Like, I'll listen to it on the record, but I'm with you live, I won't. Yeah. And it commercialized thrash metal.
It did.
I mean, this may be the biggest thrash metal song of all time, because you can't say Enter Sandman is a thrash song.
No.
It's not like Anthrax's Among the Living was all over the radio. 1 was all over the radio. This commercialized thrash metal. It absolutely changed everything for every other band in that genre. So, I mean, even just for that alone, I would vote for this song.
Yeah, I do agree, and it really changed everything. I mean, it started showing up on the radio and everything. They're playing that song on the radio. It's 10 minutes long or whatever it is, and heavy as hell, and they're playing it on the radio. That was, dude. This is so stupid. There used to be a station on it was 106.9 or something. I don't know what the station letters were then or are now, if it even still exists, but they used to play like, it was like all Foreigner and John Mellencamp and Journey and shit like that. And I remember I used to listen to it at night, because every once in a while they would slide in like a full album, and I could like record a full album off the radio, and then I wouldn't have to steal it from the Kmart. So,
nice.
So I just remember one night I was listening, they're playing like Foreigner or Loverboy or some shit like that. And they went back to back with 1. And I was like, what the hell? Hearing Loverboy loving every minute of it into one or something like that. It was like, wow, that's amazing to hear something that heavy played. And it just, it revolutionized what people considered thrash. And look, every band after, or not even after that song, but that came up right around that time, the Testaments, Overkills, Anthrax, where their popularity came up, not necessarily the band, but Exodus, all those bands, they owe every dollar they have to a song, probably to one, because it made people more willing to tolerate it, and not just, it took it out of the underground and put it right up front for the first time.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, so we both took one on that one. So by tally, let's see, John has one.
I'm 2 for 2. I've got 2 for Justice, and I've got 2 for Rest in Peace.
All right, there we go.
And you do as well.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So we're just maybe not the same tunes, but we're tied up. So
we're making a lot of headway, man.
Yeah, we are. Dude, what's up with your mic? Your mic's all jacked up.
It is?
Yep.
There
it goes.
Well, yeah. My computer froze. I was trying to do something on
well, stop.
I'm keeping a tally on Excel. Yeah.
I got a tally.
Sorry
over
about
here.
that.
I got it.
Okay.
All right. So next up is Shortest Straw versus Poison Was the Cure.
And this is probably the easiest one on the whole record, and it is Shortest Straw by a landslide.
And I'll go the other way.
Shortest Straw. See, Shortest Straw to me was, I'll never forget, like, when I first had the record, it was, I bought it on cassette. And, one ends the first side, and you got to flip it over. And for some reason, when Shortest Straw came, it's like, I'm like, oh man, it's not gonna stop. This record's not gonna stop. Like,
right.
And I just love the kind of like up tempo, it's thrash, but a little slower thrash, if that makes any sense. It's not a rock beat, but it's not a full blast thrash beat. I love the tempo of this song, and there's just something like I could picture Scott Ian playing this song, and
sure.
Something about it, I love it. I've always loved Shortest Straw. This song to me is obnoxious. This song is just really obnoxious. So I've always loved it, and I've always thought that Poison Was the Cure was the weakest song on Rest in Peace, and by a wide margin, because I don't really count Dawn Patrol as a song.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, that's kind of an interlude. So yeah, I mean, you're talking about a song I love against the song that I consider the weakest one on Rest in Peace. It's a landslide for me for Shortest Straw.
All right. Well, I'll take Poison Was the Cure. It just continues what Megadeth was doing, and I love it, and it's heavy and it's fast, and I'm not easy. I'm not that hard to play. Now I love Shortest Straw. No? That dun 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 dun. I love that. I mean, it's cool, but it's definitely one that by that point in the album, I'm kind of tired of that a little bit. It's
okay.
I mean, they kind of did that with Blackened and Justice for All and the end of one. So I mean, again, not by a lot. None of these. That's the weird thing with these. I don't think any of these we're saying, well, this sucks. We're definitely not saying this blows or anything like that. I'll take either song, but for me, if I had to pick one to play right now, I would pick Poison Was the Cure. So pretty easy.
I would pick Shortest Straw.
Which is fine. You're allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
Nice.
All right, moving forward. Another overplayed one to me. Harvester of Sorrow versus Lucretia.
Harvester. And this was another one of those by a hair, because I really love Lucretia. It's a slower tune, but I love the guitar. I love the guitar work in it. And this is like the later songs on Rest in Peace are really kind of, they're just like clinics on thrash guitar. You get, as I did pick Shortest Straw, but to your point, Poison Was the Cure is this, super fast, frenetic type of thing. And, Lucretia, and then obviously you've got Tornado of Souls coming up. And then, the song Rust in Peace, it's just guitar everywhere. And I'm a huge fan of guitar. That being said, again, I think on this one, I think that the only reason that I would choose Harvester is that as a song, it stands out a little more in my mind than Lucretia. Like if I'm trying to pick and I go, Harvester of Sorrow, Lucretia, like I start hearing Harvester of Sorrow before I start hearing Lucretia. So it's a little more recognizable and noticeable to me in terms of arrangement. It's a little more memorable, I would say. So for that reason, by the slightest of margins, I would take Harvester.
When I was in California was when this album came out, and I went and saw Megadeth, and what a killer show. It was the Titans, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
It was them, Slayer, Anthrax, and Alice in Chains. Just fucking.
And on the best records too.
Yeah.
Facelift, Rust in Peace, Persistence of Time, and Seasons in the Abyss. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And Megadeth stole the show. They really, they weren't the most energetic, as they never were. They were always kind of boring live, because Mustaine just kind of stands in the middle. And they weren't, sure. But musically, they were just dominant. And to say that when you had, you had Scott Ian running around moshing by himself and Joey Belladonna going crazy, and and obviously the Slayer boys always come to win, and at the show that I saw, they were so dominant, and they played back to back Tornado of Souls and Lucretia, and I just was like, that's it, we're done here. I was like, that is it. I am done with this. Harvester of Sorrow, I've seen it a million times. Again, this one, just to my personal playlist, this one sort of fits into the same category as one where it's overplayed to me, and it's a good song, but it's I don't know. I never really attached to that one as much as Lucretia. So again, this is by a nose, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Megadeth on this one and say Lucretia. Okay, but neither's bad. So moving on, now we get into the real hard stuff. These last ones are brutal. Frayed Ends of Sanity versus Tornado of Souls.
So remember how you said at the outset that
fix your mic again.
What's it doing?
It's spotting out.
All right, well, you talk then, because mine will come back. I think I changed internet settings. All right. I had to change internet settings.
Stop fucking with things.
I'm not messing with it.
Go ahead.
Remember at the beginning when you said, Blackened versus Holy Wars, this one for me was more difficult. Frayed Ends of Sanity versus Tornado of Souls. I mean, Tornado of Souls has the Megadeth guitar solo of all time. To the point where Marty Friedman at his solo shows, now he plays no Megadeth except for the Tornado solo.
Right.
So it's that popular with fans. I mean, Tornado of Souls, perfect song. For me, Frayed Ends of Sanity, perfect song. This would have been where, if ties were allowed, I'd have been like, I'm calling one tie. But we cannot have any ties. So, man, I don't even know. I feel like if I pick one, I'm screwing the other over. That's how difficult this is. Normally, I would say that Frayed End stands out a little bit more to me because I like the it's got that part in it. And again, this is an obnoxious song like Shortest Straw for me. But by the recognizability factor that I used previously, I will take Tornado of Souls by the teeniest margin. This was the most difficult decision for me on of all of them. I re-listened to these back to back. Like I just made a playlist of these two songs and I looped it like 5-6 times. And I'm like, I can't decide. So I'm going Tornado.
All right.
But barely.
I literally wrote on my notes by less than the length of a hair, or because this is the same thing. It is exactly that close. It is a tie, but we're not going to have a tie.
Yeah.
I like Frayed a little tiny bit better. The whole thing is just so perfect. It's just a perfectly mean, nasty song where Tornado is it's a tornado of riffs is what the song should be called because it's really a riff fest if ever there was one. And the lyrics are cool in it. And, but that part right when they end the OEO part and they go
yes,
that little part is probably the only reason I'm going to give it an edge, just because that is so cool. And when you're listening to it in your car blasting full speed, you can't help but be like, you're like ready to wreck your car and you don't even give a shit because the fucking song is so good, so
yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example of what I was meaning about the riffs having space to breathe, because if you think about it, like they're both iconic riffs, but you've got against it's like noodling versus just getting in there and grinding on some palm muted power chords, like, and they're both great, but that's why this is so hard for me, because I see the benefits to both. Like they're so great. They're so great.
Dude, I love them both. I mean, honestly, I would definitely cut some of these other songs off of either album for these two songs,
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's just where it is. But yeah. So once again, we don't agree. We're going to have a tie, but with none of the same songs.
Well, yeah, and it's in the opposite directions I would think you would go. Like I really thought on the ones where I picked Megadeth that you would pick Megadeth, and then vice versa. So
yeah, well, that's typical me and you, but
it really is.
All right, here we go. The useless songs of each record. To Live Is to Die versus Dawn Patrol. And we'll count it only because we're going to count Dawn Patrol only as a song only because we needed 9. So we'll count it. And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this is that we're both picking the Metallica, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to switch this one up because we're both obviously picking the Metallica song because it is a song. It has guitar. I think we can agree on that. So let's swap. Let's change this one up a little bit. Let's switch it around. Because on my Dream Theater show, which is Talking Into Infinity every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the CMSnetwork.com. So we do what we call album cage matches, okay? And what we do is, like, if one album's got like 10 songs and the other one's got 8, Brian and I will get behind the scenes and pick what we think are the 2 crappiest songs on the longer record and pull them out so that we're comparing apples to apples in terms of numbers. So if we were to pull out Dawn Patrol from Rust in Peace, so you get down to 8 songs, what song on Justice would you pull to make it 8 versus 8?
To Live Is to Die.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, my least favorite song on both records. My least favorite song.
Okay.
I do not like To Live Is to Die at all. I think it really stopped the momentum that they were ripping away. Then this dull. Metallica is good for doing this every once in a while. They did it with that fucking, what was that song? Redemption on Death Magnetic as well. Where we don't have enough ideas for a full song, but we got a lot of riffs that sort of fit. So here it is, all right, mixed in some fucking lyrics, dude. I mean, I get it. You write long songs, so you don't have a million lyrics, but they could have left this off. They could have left To Live Is to Die off the record.
Okay. I said wow because I really thought you were going to go with Harvester because of the overplayed factor.
Nah, I mean, it's overplayed, but it's a good song. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way: if we pull that off, then we never heard it.
Right. See, I like To Live Is to Die, and it's for the exact reason that you just said. It does slow it down for a second. I think I like how it kind of like brings it down, and the tempo kind of slows down, because it's cool when an album is just go 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 go. I'm totally fine with that. But I like when you've got these spaces to breathe, and I think this song definitely does that. And maybe it's a thing because when I was a kid, I read the lyrics and I knew that Cliff Burton wrote that little blurb in the middle, when a man lies, he murders some. And I was thinking, ooh, that's the dead guy. It's almost like he's talking from the grave, kind of thing,
Right.
I mean, I was 12 years old, for God's sakes. But I mean, again, I think this is an example, of something where they could have, trimmed some fat off of the song, but I like it because it is different from the rest of what you have heard. And especially the way that they sequence the thing to do this and then into Dyer's Eve is like, okay, well, here's the slowest song, now here's the fastest one. Like,
Right.
It's a really interesting way to sequence the record. And so for that reason, I dig it, and honestly, like, To Live Is to Die is, I find myself listening to this more frequently than I would have thought prior to going into this. And I realize sometimes I just want to hear Metallica sound, and I just go with that one because it's just kind of like digging into that, that Hetfield guitar sound. When Hatfield really starts like, like palm muting and digging into it, it's awesome. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's not a comparison because it's a 9-minute song versus an interlude, Dawn Patrol, but still, I actually really like it on its own merits. So that's where I stand.
All right. Well, I would take it right off the record and wouldn't mind a bit. I'm not a fan of it. Never been. Dawn Patrol, never listened to. Not a fan. Is what it is. All right, give your mic a good smack because now it's fuzzing out again. What the fuck is going on over there?
I have no idea. It has not done this in months. I don't know.
Must have something to do with, for the first time in months, you have listeners. So
it can't handle people actually watching what I'm doing on a podcast.
All right,
so bad.
Let's get to the end of this thing here with another just brutally hard choice here. Dyer's Eve versus Rust in Peace Polaris. Oh, I'll let you go.
Rust in Peace.
Really?
I love Dyer's Eve. I love Dyer's Eve. This was a close one. But again, Rust in Peace is one of my favorite Megadeth songs. I love the groove to it. The drum part's really cool to me. It's almost like a swing beat. So they introduce something different from the rest of the record. In the second part, Polaris, when it just goes into a thrash part to end the album, it seems like such a pointless thing to throw in there, but it works so well. And Dyer's Eve is a great song, and it's absolutely just a speed merchant type of a thing. Like, I used that term before, but this is another example. I mean, it's the fastest Metallica song they ever did. And funny story, but back when I was doing Music's Bottom Line, after I had taken it over from you and promptly ran it into the ground, I was interviewing Jason Newsted right after he had left the band, and he was telling me stories about this song and the fact that it pissed Lars Ulrich off because he would purposely pick on Lars, like backstage before shows. He'd be like, "Come on, Lars, let's play Dyer's Eve. Let's play Dyer's Eve," and it would piss Lars off because Lars can't play it. So that was a funny thing that Jason told me. But Dyer's Eve is a fantastic song. And it's crazy fast, and I love it. And again, this is just it's a perfect this song is an exclamation point at the end of And Justice for All. Because you don't just get another, like some fast parts like Blackened, you don't, or the end of One, you don't get another grind riff like Eye of the Beholder or Frayed Ends of Sanity. No, it's just basically 3 minutes of as fast as we can go. And it ends the record on an exclamation point. I just like the songwriting a little better in Rust in Peace. I like the swing feel of it. As I said, it's not swing, but bear with me here. If I had to pick one to listen to, I would go for Rust in Peace.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to pick Rust in Peace, although I'm going to. I'm taking Rust in Peace. It's hard to pick against the Metallica when it's the last time Metallica actually did a thrash song. It literally ended thrash for them for over 30 years now, which is crazy when you think about that. But it's a killer song. It's direct and to the point. But Rust in Peace is a damn near perfect tune. And Polaris at the end of it, you said that it's pointless, but it works. I don't think it's pointless at all. I think it's 10 exclamation points at the end of a record. Not just, it's like, yeah, we kicked your fucking ass, and now we're going to end it so goddamn heavy that you're going to either be bleeding or you're going to be wanting more immediately. And that's how they left it. And I love that. It's probably the song that I play the most off of Rust in Peace is the title track, because it kind of encapsulates everything that was great about that whole album in one song. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a pretty easy pick to go with Rust in Peace. Although I do like Dyer's as well. It's a cool song. So
that's an excellent description. Saying that it kind of encapsulates the record, like all the cool parts that you liked about the record up to this point. Here's all of it. It's almost like a greatest hits thing, And not to bring it back to my Dream Theater thing again, but I said that about the closing song on Images and Words on our show last week. I felt the same way about that song. It's called Learning to Live. It's all the greatest parts of the record you just listened to in this nice little compact package. And I think you make a good point about the exclamation point at the end of this song as well. I never thought about it that way. When I said that it felt kind of pointless, I didn't necessarily mean pointless, but it really comes out of nowhere, and it's very different. It's a pretty big left turn as an ending for a song. So that's where I was coming from. But it's a very good point. I did not think of it in terms of the exclamation point like I did Dyer's Eve. So good call there, man.
There you go. Well, I just did a quick tally, and completely not surprising, we have the exact same score, even though we picked just about none of the records the same.
Yep.
and it's the exact score that it really should be. Yep. It's Metallica wins by a nose, by a hair, but it's 5-4, both of us. And considering that
I have you with Rust as 5-4.
Wait a minute. Let me look again.
Yeah, you got Holy Wars, Take No Prisoners, Poison Was the Cure, Lucretia, and Rust in Peace. So you took Rust in Peace 5-4. I took Justice 5-4.
Okay, so then it is a total tie. So it's 4-5. All right, here we go. All right.
Damn it, we said no ties.
All right, so here we go. As the tiebreaker, are you ready?
Okay.
Let's get a good tiebreaker here. Crush 'Em versus what's a really bad Metallica song?
Anything from Load through Saint Anger.
How about Crush 'Em versus Fixer?
No, I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna do you one better.
Go ahead.
Let's go bonus track from the recording sessions, because there's a 1993 release of Rust in Peace that has Breakpoint on it.
Okay.
So you can take Breakpoint and with Justice, or Bread Fan.
Or Bread. Well, Bread Fan is to me is the best thing that they've ever done. I don't care if it's cover or not. It's the best thing that Metallica ever did.
What?
Love it. Love it.
I love the song, but that's like being like, dude, Wake Up Dead is glorious. Holy Wars is a perfect song, but for me, the best thing Megadeth ever did was No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Dude, I'm just telling you, I play Bread Fan probably 10 times for every other Metallica song in the catalog.
Mommy,
Love
where's Fluffy?
I love it. Just
Man.
the playing on that. And it's not because of the song, it's the play. The riffing especially is just fucking ridiculous on that one.
Well, it's a simple riff.
I know, but it's great. The way they do that's the I mean, this is a conversation for another day, but has there ever been a band that does covers better than Metallica? I say no.
I would agree, because even, I mean, first of all, you've got, you know, the 598 EP, which is just amazing. And even when they put out, you know, Garage Inc. in '98, you know, the songs that weren't wonky selections, you know, the Merciful Fate medley was great. Sabra Cadabra was kick ass. Yeah, it's, I mean, that version of Turn the Page that they did, even though it's an odd choice for Metallica, maybe not at that time, but I mean, that version of Turn the Page is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, they're by far the best the best cover band, the best covers band of all time. But
yeah,
we got to do one song. How about if we'll go old school? How about if we go
okay.
one song to break the tie? Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? Or Master of Puppets? Go.
Oh God, Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets, huh? By a lot or by a little?
Oh, by a ton. Peace Sells is a good song, but even, I mean, it's a good song. It was never the Megadeth hit that I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And they always used to play it late in shows. I was like, ah, shit. Like, whereas Master of Puppets is just, it's amazing. You know,
I certainly agree that it's amazing, and I certainly agree that I would take Peace Sells.
Do you well, see, dude, if we're talking the Peace Sells, I would take Wake Up Dead 100 times out of 100 over the song Peace Sells.
Oh no, not even close.
Oh, I love it. Wake Up Dead is awesome.
It's a great
love
song.
It.
Dude, that's now we're talking about two flawless albums here, Peace Sells and
Puppets.
You know, that one would be all ties. I hate to say it, to me that would be all ties because I love all those songs.
Even Orion.
It's a little slow for my taste, but it's still a damn good song.
Okay.
Sanitarium, same thing. I'll be honest, Sanitarium's the one I skip, but
well, the thing that should not be is just proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy as music fans.
Right.
That song is the one song I've always wanted to play live on stage more than literally any other song. And I especially want to do it at a show where I'm doing all the dance stuff and everything. And then I just want the guys to drop tune the guitars and be like, can you guys play some Metallica? Yes, we fucking can. And then just go, jin, jin, and like, what's this? It just smash faces with the thing that should not be, like, no Enter Sandman, no King Nothing, no Wherever I May Roam. No, this is the thing that fucking should not be. Like,
well, the day that you decide to do that, let me know, because I need to hear that back to back with the Outfield.
What if I sang the Outfield vocal over it, like, jun, 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 Josie's on a vacation far away.
One of these fucking mashups. We just watch it be your first ever viral video.
It would. We could monetize it and everything. Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's yeah. Puppets is pretty much perfect. I mean, and the reason that would be a difficult one, dude, is because the interesting thing about Peace Sells, and I know we're out of time, but that is literally just speed riffing the whole time. Like, those songs, a lot of them don't really, you can't really differentiate between them.
Right.
But it's still awesome. It's basically like if Dave Mustaine was going for like a half hour straight. Like, that's what you have, but it comprises 5 songs. So it's, you know, that.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so good. It is so good.
And I think the overwhelming theme here is when we're talking about these early records from these bands, these are the legends. These are we're not talking about Generation Swine versus Shadow Life in the in the in the annals of rock.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, and like we said, I mean, these are the two bands that really took, thrash metal from going from playing like clubs and stuff to getting all the way up to like amphitheaters and things. It's like they're just it took them to this whole other level of, it's crazy. And I mean, seriously, when you really listen to the first 4 or 5 records, we'll say 5 records by each band, they're just untouchable. They are on a level completely above the other bands of their genre.
They are.
And it's really no contest. And I love Anthrax, don't get me wrong. But if you're talking about like, how influential a record is, how accessible the music is, the first 5 Metallica and first 5 Megadeth records defined.
Yeah.
They defined everything.
They're definitely the epitome of the band's greatness.
Yeah.
All right, we're telling all kinds of inside jokes that no one's getting, and I don't care.
Oh my Lord. We're gonna take an ass kicking for this. That's so bad. Oh my Lord.
Holy shit, that's good.
Oh.
All right, well, this is fun, dude. This was
yeah,
fun. We'll definitely be doing some more. There's definitely going to be at least 1 or 2 more of these pop-up shows here in the next 2 weeks since we're off on CMS. And if John can fix his fucking microphone, we might have him back to do something else.
Yeah. Fun. I can't even believe that. I mean, I did change my internet settings in the middle of the show. I remembered, oh shit, I'm supposed to be on my extender and I wasn't. So maybe that had something to do with it. But, and also I was fucking with an Excel spreadsheet and it froze. So I was waiting for something to happen. So that was probably the 2 things. So like you said, lesson learned, next time, don't fuck with things in the middle of a show.
Leave it alone.
Yeah. Cut it out, dickhead.
Nice. All right. Well, we will be back. Make sure you follow in all of our stuff in all of our places. Of course, you can catch John over at talkingintoinfinity.com or on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. You guys can figure out where all that shit is. For me, classicmetalshow.com, theclassicmetalshow.com, CMSPN for both of us, Heavy Metal Television for both of us. I don't know, ruleporn.com if you want to see some good stuff.
Well,
and I think that'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, my show is going to be live right here where we're at right now, tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. So, we're getting a bunch of music nerds together and just bullshitting. It's my Dream Theater show. So if you're not into Dream Theater, you can still tune in because we're just it's our year-end Christmas fan hangout. We're just going to talk about anything. So any musical topic you guys want to talk about, we're going to be hashing it out. So if you guys want to tune back in at 7:30 tomorrow, I will be on with my good buddy Brian, my co-host on Talking Into Infinity. So shameless plug right there. So thanks for having me on for doing this, man. This was a fucking blast.
This was fun, man. So, all right, guys,
cool.
Go enjoy the rest of your day, your night, your evening, your life. See ya.
Merry Christmas.